Over 100 years ago, giant humanoid creatures called Titans appeared and started eating all of humanity. In a desperate attempt to survive, 3 concentric walls were built to keep the Titans out and allow the humans a peaceful life. In the outer walls was the poverty district, where everyone worked hard to provide food for the rest of the island. There, a kid named Armin overhears that his troubled best friend has been fired from yet another job, so he decides to find him and count how many brain cells he has left. On his way, one of the kids calls out to him, reporting that the toy Armin built for him has broken, so Armin promises to fix it and get it to him later. On the way, Armin grabs another of their friends named Mikasa, and together they go look for Eren, knowing exactly where he'll be. They find Eren standing on an old missile, and though Mikasa warns him that it could still go off, Eren doesn't mind if the entire island gets blown to bits. No one points out that Crimson red flagged, and instead, they focus on his inability to hold down a job, so Eren asks Armin if he's really happy taking over his dad's business. Armin confesses that he likes making gadgets, like the one he made for the little boy. Then he asks Mikasa what she wants to do. Mikasa simply smiles, knowing she's got a thing for boys in red scarves, so Eren quickly changes the topic. Eren isn't content living and dying within the walls, and takes out his frustration on the missile when Armin notices something drawn on it. Once Armin gets Eren to look past the bikini babe, he points out the ocean behind her, which means it must really exist outside the walls. The trio wonders what it could possibly look like, so Eren suggests they go find out. They sneak past guards at the walls, pushing past all the barricades till they're finally the closest they've ever been to knowing what's on the other side. Mikasa begins to catch a cold, so Eren gives her his scarf since it'll be much windier outside, but she insists that she's not ready to go out there while Armin reminds him of the Titans. Eren immediately calls hogwash on the whole Titan story, saying no one has ever confirmed their existence, so they're probably not real. However, before he can start climbing, the guards finally spot them and try to get them away from the wall. When Eren sees them tugging on Mikasa, he loses it and begins attacking the guards, but before things get any more out of hand, the leader of the group, Sota, stops them when he recognizes Eren. He tells the group to head back to their post while he teases Eren for trying to show off for Mikasa. Sota says he was just like Eren when he was young and tells him of a secret plan to go scouting outside the walls. He encourages Eren to join the scout regiment, assuring him that finding new land means they get to choose where they live. Eren runs straight to Mikasa to ask what she thinks, but before she can 100% agree, the ground begins to rumble. But whatever it is feels far worse than an earthquake. The walls start to shake and Mikasa tries to get Eren to run when they finally see it. A giant flaming head comes looking over the wall, confirming that the Titan legends were real after all. The guards at the wall begin readying their defenses, but no one is prepared for what comes next. In his rampage, the colossal Titan kicks right through the wall, sending debris flying throughout the town. Eren and the rest run for it while Sota tells the guards to aim the cannons and prepare to attack. But the Titan suddenly stops its rampage and seemingly fades away in a cloud of steam. For a few seconds, everywhere is quiet until the trio looks over to the gaping hole and watches as the regular Titans slowly begin to creep in. The Titans begin clearing everything in their path, so the guards fire their cannons, which successfully take down a few creepy smiles. But they soon watch in horror as the Titans regenerate and head straight for them. They try to reload the cannons, but it's too late. The first guard is picked up and chewed on like a Kit Kat, while the rest of the Titans take their pick at the remaining guards, even fighting for their tiny bits. At this point, even Sota knows they're totally screwed, and one smart soldier decides to go out by his own means and puts a bullet in his head. The kids start running for it as everywhere erupts in chaos. Armin leaves to go check on his father, while Eren and Mikasa keep running with the crowd, trying to evade the waterfalls of blood from the screaming victims and starving Titans. Unfortunately, Eren spots Armin's dad being carried off by one of the Titans, and before long, no one cares whose family is getting chewed on as they desperately try to escape. The crowd starts to make its way into a shelter, letting people in, but when Eren and Mikasa spot a mother and her baby struggling to stand, they go back to help. Eren gets the mother and pushes her forward while Mikasa struggles to return with the baby as she's beaten down by the rowdy crowd. Eren tries to go back for her, but gets pushed forward by the crowd till he ends up in the shelter, which happens to shut the doors to keep the remaining out. Despite trying, no one lets Eren out, so all he can do is watch as Mikasa sits there hopelessly while a female Titan smiling like Pennywise approaches. Mikasa gives Eren one last look when suddenly the ground shakes and pushes him back, But by the time he gets up and gets out, Mikasa is nowhere to be found, and neither are the Titans. That is until he turns back and sees the Titans ripping into the shelter and enjoying the buffet, while Eren stumbles off exhausted. 2 years later, the survivors had retreated behind the middle wall of the commercial district, but without access to the agricultural zone, the food shortage was becoming dire. Eren and Armin volunteered for the scout regiment, whose sole purpose is to return to the outer wall and restore the wall to stop more Titans from coming in. For this, the troops are handed over to squad leader Hands, who will lead them to join the recon team led by Captain Shikishima, their strongest warrior. That evening, the volunteers line up for dinner when Armin and Eren spot a washed-up Soda drinking his sorrows away. He's glad to see the boys, but when notices Mikasa's missing, his smile slowly fades back to what it was before. Eren swears he'll destroy the Titans, but when Suda assures him that taking out 1 or 2 Titans won't make a difference, they ask him why he volunteered at all. Sadly, he tells them he's hoping to join his wife and kid who are waiting for him in the next life. Afterward, the recruits sit to eat while Armin uses his food to explain the plan to use explosives to blow up the upper part of the walls and plug the hole. Unfortunately, the starving recruit named Sasha eats up his plan like she knows what's going to happen when they go out there. Another recruit named Jean starts to pick on them for being useless weaklings, so Eren fires back, calling him a spoiled brat from the inlands. The boys almost smack each other in the face, but they're separated by the group so they can save their blows for the Titans. That night, they all load up and get ready to return to where all the chaos began while Hero warns them not to raise their voices and alert the Titans. They head past the gate and on their way. One of the men talks about a goddess in the recon team who's famous for taking out more than 10 Titans in 6 months. The squad rides on for hours till they reach a blockage in the road, which turns out to be cows. They get out to look around, and when Sasha's stomach threatens to disturb the peace, Armin feeds her more of his food to keep her quiet. After confirming everything's clear, they start to retreat when one of the recruits, Hyana, says she can hear a baby that was left behind. Hyana goes off to help the poor child, and Eren decides to try replacing Mikasa by following her. But when they get to the source of the crying, they find it's a Titan baby which immediately starts to make noise, alerting the other Titans. Back outside, the squad begins to panic, and though Hero tries to quiet them down, he gets grabbed by one of the Titans, which chews him up as quietly as possible. Just then, Hyana and Eren come racing toward them with a group of Titans right behind them. When the general sees this, he orders the rest of the trucks to keep moving and leave behind the idiot recruits. The squad tries to run for it as the meet-up point is just ahead, but they get picked off one by one and eaten. When it seems like all hope is lost, Captain Shikishima comes swinging in on his ODM gear and takes out a large Titan. Just up behind him, the infamous goddess appears and takes out another Titan. But it turns out to be Mikasa. She looks Eren dead in the face, then walks off to meet Shikishima, who approves of her as they swing away. When they all get to safety, the general meets with Shikishima, who shows him the explosives they've been guarding. So they immediately start loading them up for the mission. Meanwhile, Jean attacks Eren for screwing up the mission, but Eren doesn't intend to become his punching bag and fights back. This time, no one tries to stop them as they exchange blows, and Eren finishes it with a flying kick that completely knocks Jin out. Just then, Mikasa flings Eren to the side and tells him to stop disturbing the peace, then walks off like they'd never met. Shikishima shows up and tells Eren to follow him, so Eren asks how Mikasa is able to take down Titans like that. Shikishima tells Eren he taught Mikasa everything she knows, and when Eren says he wants to learn too, Shikishima tells him not to cling to safety and to let go. Later, Eren finds Mikasa alone and tells her that he's glad she's alive, but Mikasa doesn't appreciate his sympathy as she informs him that the baby was eaten by that Titan, and so was she. She pulls up her shirt to show him the bite mark and tells him she's simply going to kill Titans now. Eren tries to go to her, but he's stopped by Shikishima, who walks to Mikasa and feeds her his apple to show Eren where her new loyalties lie. Eren leaves devastated and goes outside to have a screaming concert, till Hyana finds him and tells him to shut the fuck up, or he could get them killed. She gets him back to their senses, and they head inside and talk while one couple starts to get down right beside them. Hyana comments how it's unfair that they need permission to get married, even if they have kids, and Eren realizes she has a daughter of her own. She explains that she volunteered for the scouts so she can get child support. Then she suddenly opens up her shirt and hands Eren his first melon, hoping she has finally found a father for her child. In the worst timing ever, a Titan cock blocks Eren, drags Hyana off and swallows her alive, Hans announces that they're under attack, and all the volunteers hurry to put on their gear and head to the rooftops to battle. Shikishima and Mikasa head out too and take out as many Titans as they can, showing no fear whatsoever. Eren continues to stumble through the building, while the rest of his squad does whatever they can to take out the Titans, but most of them get squashed and ground for dinner. The general tells the troops to prioritize the explosives, since there would be no point in their mission without them. Armin and Sasha somehow manage to stay alive, but they watch as one of their teammates cries over the loss of her boyfriend, swearing to defeat all the Titans for him. Suddenly, the truck carrying the explosives starts to move, and Hans alerts the troops to someone stealing their only hope. But things go further south when the crazed girlfriend sneaks on the truck and lights it up. She then jumps in and struggles with the thief, eventually managing to push him out, while she drives the truck straight into a group of Titans and sets off the explosives. Hans laments over losing their only hope when she notices a burnt scarf left behind by the thief. Meanwhile, Eren watches the chaos unfold from the roof when he notices Jean up there with him, suggesting they run for it. Eren tries to convince him to man up and fight as he remembers Shikishima's words to him and spots him waiting to see what Eren's made of. Eren heroically leaps off the roof and darts around the Titans, but is unable to land an actual hit till Shikishima insists that he mustn't fear getting caught and should head straight to them. Eren finally manages to take out one of the Titans but ends up landing in one of their mouths as it tears off his leg and tosses into a faraway rooftop, while Shikishima simply walks off unbothered. Meanwhile, the squad notices Jean getting surrounded by several Titans, so Hans fires a flare gun and they draw their attention from him. Sasha takes out their eyes and Jean is able to escape, defeating one in the process as he joins the rest of the group. While they make a run for it, Armin asks Jean where Eren is, so Jean says he's dead on the roof somewhere. But before Armin can even process this, he gets grabbed by a Titan too. Meanwhile, Mikasa sees Eren and struggles to decide whether to go to him, but she has no choice but to battle the rest of the Titans and help the others. However, Eren notices Armin's about to get served as dessert and starts to crawl toward him while Sasha does all she can with her bow and arrow, which is absolutely nothing. Eren finally reaches the edge of the rooftop just as Armin gets chucked in the Titan's mouth and struggles to find something to hold on to. Eren grabs his hand while he holds the Titan's mouth open and hurls Armin out of there, sacrificing himself in the process as he gets swallowed with nothing left of him but his arm. Inside the Titan, Eren slides down to the stomach where he finds Hyanna floating, but when he lifts her up, he sees it's too late for her and begins to scream out of rage. Meanwhile, the rest of the squad is completely surrounded as they realize the Genera already evacuated and use them as bait. Mikasa joins them on the rooftop, and Armin shows her all that's left of Eren, so she goes off in a blind rage and starts to take out more Titans till she runs out of gas and collapses on the ground. At that moment, the Eren-eating Titan shows up, but something seems more off about it than usual when a pair of hands suddenly reaches out and it explodes. A new Titan emerges and begins to attack the other Titans to everyone's surprise, and Hans notices the Titan has even faster regenerative abilities than the others. Mikasa watches closely as the attacked Titan takes down multiple others in a way that seems oddly familiar, while Hans rejoices over having a new Titan to research. After the Titan finishes decimating the rest, it turns toward the group and punches through part of the building, scaring off everyone except Mikasa, who calls out for Eren. The Titan picks her up and screams when it suddenly drops her and collapses, so the others run down to see it before it evaporates. Sauda figures out what's going on and tells them to cut the nape without injuring the inside. So Mikasa does just that and pulls out Eren, who's passed out. Shikishima watches from above as Eren finally becomes the monster he hates so desperately, and finally, Eren opens his eyes. If you enjoyed this video, comment Attack Titan down below. See you in the next one.